Good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa, and I'm an addict. I do fear. What? I know. I always have this. Is that better? I just need to be a bit taller, don't I? I do fear. That's why I'm standing here. I know all about fear. And I've been sitting there worrying about and being fearful that when I push my chair back, I'm going to fall over and then knock myself out. And so that's been kind of occupying me for a while. And but this is probably about my best topic to ever share on, because I think pretty much everything I say to do with me and my experience is relevant to fear, because it's just, I'm shaking away here. But it's kind of a miracle that I'm standing here clean, sharing in front of quite a lot of people, because on the 16th of October 1992, I was in a rehab, and it's not, that's just my story. And I was in a rehab, and we were asked to do something called a life story, which involved writing pages and pages of crap about yourself and reading it out to quite a small group. And I'd written my pages of crap, and I was really pleased about the way they wrote, because I like writing. And when it came to actually thinking about reading it in front of the group, I could not do it. I was so terrified. And my lips do this thing when I'm scared. They kind of shake, and I can't breathe, and I can't speak properly. And I thought, I can't do it. And there was this wonderful man in treatment called Jimmy. He's dead now. And he said, "It's okay, I can help you." I said, "That's brilliant." And he gave me a little blue pill, and it was a Valium, and I took it. And I was supposed to be a month clean at the time, and this pill was the most fantastic thing for me. And I took it, and I felt all that anxiety just moving out of my body. And I sat in front of the group, and I just delivered the most fantastic life story. And fortunately for me, afterwards, the group didn't take kindly to my life story. They said it read like a Jackie Collins novel and was just completely unreal, as was I. I was stoned out of my head. And what hit me when I came down from that Valium and all the shame came in, what hit me was everyone else in the group had managed to do their life story without using. I hadn't. I'm a failure, which is something that kind of runs in the back of my head most of the time anyway. You're a mistake, you're a failure. And I realised then, it's like the penny dropped for me at that point. I realised that I was safe in a treatment centre. Well, I wasn't that safe in a treatment centre, but I was kind of safer. And I realised that when I left that treatment centre, every single time I was going to feel uncomfortable and fearful, I was going to look for a way to change the way I felt. And the best way I know to change the way I feel is to take drugs. That's what I did. It's kind of why I used and why I ended up with the kind of drug habits that I ended up with. And it just hit me then. I had to try and find a different way to live, because I just, I had to kind of face my fears. I kind of didn't tell people in the treatment centre about it, and it all came out later on, and it was all really messy and things, but it was so, and I had to redo my life story, which I did the second time straight, so I did get it done eventually. But, this was a point for me. I just needed to use all the time, and my whole, I'm one of these people that to cover up my low self-esteem and my shyness, I'm loud and obnoxious. And sadly for other people, really, it's much better to be quiet rather than loud and obnoxious. But that's the way I did it. So nobody ever knew that I just had this crippling low self-esteem and was terrified the entire time. And for me, I found a cure for that shyness and anxiety and nervousness that I carried around all the time. And the core of my nervousness was just, I was frightened about what you thought about me. I wasn't going to be interesting enough. I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't enough. I was never ever enough. And at 12 or 13, woodpecker cider was kind of a really good cure for my shyness. And what I found was I could go out, and if I had usually a bottle before I left the house and then enough wherever we were going at the party, I didn't feel shy anymore. And suddenly I felt beautiful, and I felt tall, which you can see I'm not, and I felt interesting, and I didn't kind of stand there thinking, what is it, what shall I say, what's acceptable, what's acceptable to say. I didn't have any of that. And so, from that point on, really, I just just, my life was about being able to function in the outside world without this crippling fear. And, in the end, I kind of moved more away from the alcohol and more into the drugs thing until I found a particular drug that just removed me from people. And I just didn't need to feel anything. So I didn't feel fear, I didn't feel anything. And honestly, if it had carried on working for me, I probably would have stayed that way. I was far more comfortable not feeling than kind of going through stuff like, dealing with fear. And obviously it didn't, and now that I'm in NA, and I don't know what to say. It's a real privilege to be here. I am British, but I live in the UAE, United Arab Emirates. I've lived there for 6 years, so I kind of call it my home group now. But I got clean in the UK. And very, very early on in my recovery, I was given a book. And I don't think I ever read the book, but it was called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And I don't think I needed to read the book. The title was enough. And, basically I kind of wake up every morning and my first thought is generally, oh fuck, it's another day. And then it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen to me today? I mean, occasionally I wake up really, really excited and into the day, but mostly it's all going to go wrong and stuff. And then I kind of have to retrain my thoughts, and I actually get out from under the duvet and face up to life, which I find quite difficult really, and generally have a really good time. And I've been doing that, basically facing up for life and doing stuff like speaking in front of you guys. I mean, you're really nice people, I'm sure, but it's just not that comfortable to be standing here doing this. And I've just been doing that really every day for the last 16 and whatever years, just facing up to stuff. And as a result, my life, which my drug life, I travelled a lot because I usually had to leave groups of people quite quickly when they found out who I was, and I'd upset everyone, so I just kind of travelled around, roamed around, trying to find my little place in the world and not finding it. I was one of these people that talked an awful lot about achieving things. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do, but there was always a reason not to. There was always this fear, and I can dress fear up in any way I want. I can call it laziness, I can whatever, but it's fear. It was just fear of doing anything, and it was actually so much easier to take drugs and never achieve and say, well, I'm a drug addict, of course I'm not going to be actually doing anything with my life, And, when I got clean, I couldn't do that anymore. I kind of had to face up to stuff. And, being clean I've travelled a lot in recovery as well, and been to some fantastic meetings, all over the world, and ended up pitched up in the, United Arab Emirates 6 years ago with no NA, and Amar in Bahrain to, look after me really from a distance. And, it's just been the most amazing journey. And, I'm going through some stuff in my life at the moment, changes and things, and I'm scared, I'm scared of them, but I know, they said at the end of that reading, the kind of fear turned into faith. I'm not sure my fear has turned into faith, but I've watched people in NA walk through stuff that's scary, and I've seen them walk through and stay clean and go to meetings and fall apart and come out of it clean and I don't know, maybe more complete people, I guess. And so when I go through difficult patches in my life, because, there's been a few, that's what I do. I go to more meetings and I don't pick up, and I just stay focused on the fact that, God didn't take me this far just to drop me, even though my head tells me that, you just need a big humiliating kick up the backside. But, and so that's really the way I live my life. And, I guess the start of that faith, the fear leaving me was kind of around about the time I took my step 3, handing my will and my life over to the care of God. And I just making that decision to let someone else maybe lead my life just took the pressure off, just worrying and worrying and worrying all the time. And I don't know, I got some kind of strength from that. And when I did my inventory, and we're given this huge list of defects, and they're really exciting, self-pity and arrogance and selfishness and all the rest of it. And I don't know if it's my sponsor or someone else, and they just said to me, yeah, but the root of every single defect of character is self-centered fear, and that I could understand. Why am I dishonest? Because I'm frightened of telling you who I am, or frightened of what your reaction if I tell you the truth. Why am I selfish? Because I'm scared of not getting what I want. Why am I grandiose? Because I'm not enough, and that's why I'm arrogant. And why am I full of self-pity? Because I'm not, I'm scared I'm going to lose out. Everything, at the root of everything is self-centered fear, and there's nothing I can do about that. I can't change that in myself. The only thing I can change really is to sometimes say, God, you can have that kind of stuff, or higher power, you can have that stuff, because I can't deal with it. This is just my core really, is this self-centered fear. And what happens to me is, if I don't go to meetings and just kind of do my recovery thing, all that comes back, and my reaction when all that fear comes back into my life is to say, I need to deal with all these outside things that are making me scared. I need to deal with my relationship situation, I need to deal with my job situation, and I kind of forget really to deal with my recovery situation. And I can't manage any of that. Usually I become emotionally more and more unmanageable and chaotic. And then what generally happens to me is I start upping my meetings, occasionally doing some step work, and just sort of like refocusing on my recovery and sharing with people. And I don't know why, but all those outside problems that are giving me so much anxiety in my life tend to sort themselves out. And it's just such a weird thing really, that whenever I refocus on my recovery and my spiritual growth, my outside life changes. But it's a kind of lesson that I sort of need to be reminded of again and again and again, because I just seem to think that the best thing to do is to focus on the outside really. And I guess, kind of getting over some of the fear of people. Yeah, fear of people. It's just kind of a weird thing really. But I suppose I'd concluded that what I needed to do was just really not have anything to do with people, and then I'd be okay. Because you couldn't hurt me, you couldn't, just pretend to be my friend and then dump me. You just couldn't get, it's just much easier if I don't have anything to do with people. And I guess the reason for that was, inside I knew this old line, if you really knew who I was, you'd run a mile. And the amazing thing happened, when I started going to NA meetings, I saw all these people sharing this stuff, which I related to a lot of it. And what was more interesting is I was watching people's reactions to those people, and no one was going, ugh, and no one was saying, like, I'm not going back to that meeting because that person is just no. And no one was doing any of that, and I was thinking, why not? Why not? Because I came from a culture where we sat in pubs, getting off our heads and basically putting each other down. I would basically take the piss out of you better than you could take the piss out of me, and put you down so that you couldn't get me back. I mean, that was it. It was just horrible really, but that's all I knew really, was just kind of putting other people down and waiting to be slagged off myself. And in NA that wasn't happening, and I was very much, I'm sure I had that kind of, F off thing on my forehead when I first came in, because I was just really scared about what I was seeing, in the rooms, all these people being, I suppose the word is vulnerable, isn't it? But and it also seemed to me that the more vulnerable someone was being in a meeting, and the more they were really sharing about themselves, the more people liked them. And that was just so opposed to what I'd grown up with and what I was used to. I just didn't know what was going on. And what happened was, because I heard it again and again and again in the room, just people being real, people being themselves, I kind of like, every now and again, I would share something just to test it. I would just say something about how I'd felt, or how much I hated myself, or whatever it was. And I just, I'd be there to share it, and I think the whole meeting was focused on me, and they're just, thinking about me, and sometimes they wouldn't react at all, and it was just like, it was and I'm like, hello, I just sort of bared my soul here, and you're just chatting about whatever. or sometimes somebody would share something back and say, no, I really identify, or stuff like that. But no one rejected me. And so then I'd sort of like think, well, okay, I can do this, and I'd share something else, a couple of weeks later. And then between, my sponsor at a fifth step and going to loads of meetings and coffees and stuff with people, I realised that over a period of time there was nothing inside of me that hadn't been said, And, it's you guys that gave me the courage to do that. And when all that shame and stuff is out, the fear goes, the fear of people goes, when I'm not hiding and hiding and hiding and hiding and trying to be something I'm not, because I've always wanted to be one of these people that is kind of quietly mysterious and interesting, the people that they don't say anything, and then when they say something it's just spectacularly relevant and sultry and beautiful and just, one of those people. And my experience is I go into a crowd of people and I'm blah, 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 right at the beginning, and I've told loads of lies about myself and this and, and I'm waiting to be found out and worrying all the time. But that, that's me. But I don't tell the lies anymore, or not that I'm aware of, but I still am that person that will tell you my life story in 5 minutes now, and it's just unfortunately the way I am. I mean, maybe one day I'll wake up and be that mysterious person, but it's not me. And I've kind of had to, there are our serenity prayer, courage to change the things I can, and there's a lot, and working on defects and behaviours, but there's a lot I've kind of had to accept about me. I am me, and I am short, and I am kind of an anxious, chatty person, and the more scared I am, the more I chat and shake and say irrelevant things, and that's just I kind of, when you get to sort of step 7 and the sort of, I don't really do humble, but that part of it is about accepting who I am as well, and not just trying to reject it all the time and hide it and say, well, that bit's not good enough. And that's kind of been a real journey in my recovery, really, to sort of just accept the person that I am. And again, the more I can do that within me, the less scared I am of life and everything else. I need to do a time check here. What have I been doing? Lots of time. How much time? Oh, blimey, really? 20 minutes left? Does that count Simon's time? I'm not having that time. Oh dear. So this is my first World Convention, and and that was all I needed to say to get a clap. My God! Could have done that at the beginning and left, couldn't I? And I don't know why I haven't been to a World Convention before. I haven't really worked that out. I just haven't made it a priority. And I'm kind of, I suppose, think that I won't get on in big groups of people, but it's fine. It's just fantastic to be here, and I've been talking about coming to this convention for about 4 years now. When I didn't get to Hawaii, it was Hawaii, wasn't it, 4 years ago? And I so wish I'd got there, but it just wasn't going to happen for me. And so for 4 years I've had to stay clean and involved in NA just to get here, and it's been fantastic, obviously. And it's just so great to be in Barcelona, and I know at the end of this, and boring you all to death. No, I know at the end of this I'm going to feel much, much better, but I'm kind of running out of what to say about fear, really. And I have run out of things to say about myself. I'm done.